Well, with less than 2 hours to go until the opening ceremony and less than 4 until the kick-off of the opening match for the FIFA Soccer World Cup 2010, the eyes of the world are upon South Africa. So will the years of preparation for the big events pay off? Earlier, I spoke to 2010 analyst Dr Nik.
Well, we basically ticked 9 out of the 10 boxes on the 2010 scorecard. And obviously the one remaining is to score for the hosting team, Bafana, to win, to beat Mexico today, to get into the second round at least, and to go as far as possible.
Well, give us your predictions. What sort of score would you expect this evening?
I'm predicting a 2-0 scoreline for Bafana. I'm predicting a draw against Uruguay, a win against France, and then all the way into the final.
How far do you realistically think Bafana are going to get? Because from the last 3 tournaments, we had the hosts going up to the last 16. Will we get to the last 16? Will we get beyond that?
Well, probably the best comparison is Korea-Japan 2002, where Korea, that had never won a single game at 5 preceding World Cups, all of a sudden went to the semi-final. And that was largely due to the hosting effect, to the home court advantage, to the tremendous support they had from their fans, from their supporters. And what we've seen this week alone, I think we will equal, if not surpass, the 12th player effect.
And of course, we also have that secret weapon, which is the Vuvuzela lying here on the desk.
Yes.
The foreign crowds haven't experienced this yet, have they?
That is tremendously effective. And in fact, the foreign crowds, I've seen the Portuguese after they played Mozambique, they love the Vuvuzela. So I think they're going to join in. And it is truly a secret weapon that I think will have a great bearing on the team performance.
Well, you're talking about the home crowd support, and of course we might be a little bit disappointed by the foreign tourists and the foreign viewers coming to see the matches. Numbers aren't going to be what we initially expected, and yet they're still going to be playing to packed house stadia, and that's because of the South African supporters.
Absolutely, and that is good news, because obviously, especially the Bafana games, will be 80 to 85% capacity filled by South African supporters, and that in itself will give a great boost to the entire vibe.
You were at the opening ceremony last night, so what the verdict from that?
Was great. It was a fantastic concert. Shakira looked tremendous. The vibe was great. It was a bit cold. The crowd control at the end could have been better. To get the people into the buses, there were enough buses, but to get the people into the buses was not effective.
What do you think the true benefits for South Africa are going to be from hosting what could be one of the most successful World Cups ever?
Well, clearly it's all about nation branding, transforming the national brand image, very much like Germany did in 2006, and the benefits are tremendous and they're long term. The first beneficiary will be asset tourism. People will look at this country differently. We will see an upswing in tourism. Anything up to 50% in 5 years. In fact, Cape Town Tourism has a vision of doubling tourism in 10 years by 2020. We will see a difference in how investors view South Africa as an investment destination. I think there will be a tremendous influx in capital. We will see there will be an increased global appetite for anything uniquely and proudly South African, which will propel our exports, global exports, into a new dimension.
The commercial success of a tournament like the one we're seeing at the moment, are we going to be commercially successful such as previous hosts have been?
Well, we will probably break even. That is what the latest predictions are forecasting. But one benefit that is immeasurable, that is priceless, is certainly the nation building effect, is certainly the social cohesion that we're seeing, is certainly the unity that we're seeing amongst South Africans.
Of course, everybody talks about the 1995 Rugby World Cup and the unity that brought to South Africa. Do you think this could go even further than that?
It already is going further, and the challenge will be how to sustain it, how to make sure it outlasts the World Cup, it outlasts the next 2, 3, 4 months, and how we can turn it into a sustainable factor for social cohesion.
What could go wrong at this stage? Could anything go wrong still?
Well, obviously security is always a challenge. You can never have a 100% security guarantee. So hopefully we will not have another incident of journalists robbed. We had a couple of pickpocketing incidents reported at the concert yesterday. Clearly the police can't be everywhere all the time. So we need to be vigilant, we need to be alert, and we need to keep our fingers crossed.
Of course, South Africa is a third world country, we can't forget that. And just looking at the logistics of a World Cup like this, we don't have the infrastructure that other host countries may have had. Do you think that's going to be a deterrent? Do you think that could be cast a shadow over the World Cup?
Well, last night, which was a good measure of the effectiveness of the systems, of the logistics, the influx, we have enough buses. The influx into the stadium was handled very well. The infrastructure clearly in terms of stadia, in terms of transport is ready. It's really the human factor. How are we going to handle especially how we control the crowds once they leave the stadia?
I mean, you did mention there was a problem with crowd control last night. Do you think we'll learn from that as we progress through this tournament, that it will be successful and hassle-free by the end?
Well, already we learned a lot of lessons, especially about the transport logistics from the Confederations Cup, and it has gotten a lot better. So I'm sure organizers are not only looking, but taking corrective action on how to prevent a situation like, yesterday.